श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। सदात्मध्याननिरतं विषयेभ्यः पराङ्मुखं नौमि शास्त्रेषु निष्णातं चन्द्रशेखरभारतीम्। ओम्। Verse number 19, page 15. Adau nitya nitya vastu vivekah pariganyate ihamutra phala bhoga viragastadanantaram shamadishatka sampattihi mumukshattvamati sputam. So we had looked at this particular verse and the first line of the next verse in the previous session, and we had started doing the commentary also by Jagadguru Srimad Chandrasekhara Bharati Mahaswamigal. So sixth line from the top, tarhi shame sati damasya swatasiddhatvat kimiti tasya sadhanakoti pravishthatvam iti chet indriyani pramathini haranti prasabham manah iti gitoktaritya bahyendriya nirodha bhave shamasya dratva bhavat. So Acharya had essentially explained how in the 19th verse each of the sadhana chatushtaya sampatti is serving as the means for the paripakvam or the ripening of the next sadhana chatushtaya sampatti that is mentioned. So we start off with nitya nitya vastu vivekaha, the ability to discriminate between what is nityam and what is anityam, what is permanent and what is ephemeral, and as a result of which we get vairagyam on the ephemeral, about the ephemeral. That is, one develops a dispassion towards these finite temporary things and develops a desire for that which is permanent. So you have viveka leading to vairagya, ihamutra pharabhoga viragaha, and from vairagya you get the shamadhi shatka sampatti. And he says only a person who has vairagya, vairagyavatah eva purushasya antarbahir indriya nirodharupa shanti danti. So the ability to control the bahirindriyam or the sense organs or the antarindriyam or the mind is only possible for one who has developed a dispassion towards the ihamutra phalabhogam, that is the pleasures of this world and the next world. So the external objects that are so attractive to someone who does not have vairagya are not attractive to the one who is endowed with vairagya, and therefore they do not serve as disturbances, and therefore one can get the shama and the dama. And then between the antarindriyam and the bahirindriyam, he had said that only a person who is able to control his mind will also be able to control the sense organs. So the shama will lead to the dhamma, which is why when we say shama the shatka sampatti as the first of the sixfold virtues. And the line that we read today, tarhi shame sati damasya svatasthiddhatvat. So here he's saying if shama is present, it also means that one has controlled the external indriyas also, the bahirindriyam being the sense organs. Why do you need to mention the dhamma separately? To which Acharya had quoted a verse from the Gita, Indriyani pramathini haranti prasabham manah. That is, the sense organs take the mind external, and therefore, unless one has controlled the sense organs, one will not be able to control the mind also. Which is what he says, Bahyendriya Nirodha Bhave, without controlling the Bahyendriyam or the sense organs, the Shamasya Dhratva Bhavat, one is not able to get the firmness of the Shama, one is not able to get a strong grip on the mind and be able to control the mind. So one needs to have control over the external organs, external sense organs, so that the mind is brought under control also. Then we read the next line. Jitendriyasyaiva uparamashabdita samnyasaha tasyaiva shitoshnadi dvandva sahishnutva rupa titiksha tasyaiva bahya vikshepa bhavat brahmanyedam paryaniva sthanalakshanam samadhanam etadrisha guna vishishtasyaiva brahmaikamasti jaganmithyeti upadishyamana guru vedanta vakya vishwasa rupa shraddha iti shamadishtaka madhyepi purvapari bhave karanam suvacham. So then Acharya looks at the sixfold qualification. So we had spoken about Shama being the control of the mind, Dama being the control of the sense organs, and then he says, Jitendriya Stiva Uparama Shabdita Sannyasah. Only a person who's a Jitendriya, and a person by Jitendriya means one who has attained victory over the sense organs and the mind. And only a person who has attained a victory, meaning what? Control over the sense organs and the mind, one who is able to pacify them and focus them towards the object at hand, only such a person is qualified to take up the sannyasa or the chaturthashrama, the fourth ashrama, being renunciation. The formal adoption of renunciation is only meant for those people who have their mind and their senses within their control. Those whose mind and senses are inflamed, who cannot control their passions, are not fit to take up sannyasa ashrama. Therefore, it is very, very important that if one is proceeding towards sannyasa, one first tries to gain control over the mind and the senses, because there is no karma to engage the mind and the senses in sannyasa ashrama. The sole focus of sannyasa ashrama is in Vedanta Vichara. Yes, in the Vividisha sannyasa, the type of sannyasa that is taken up for Atma Vichara, to listen to the Vedanta Vakya from the Guru, to do Shravanam, Maranam, Nididhyasanam, is the sole purpose of Vividisha sannyasa. So Vividisha sannyasa means Veditum Michha Vividisha. The one who desires to know, and here by desires to know, it means the one who desires to know Brahman, one who desires to get Atma Jnana or Brahma Jnana. The sannyasa ashrama which is designed for the individual who has this Vividisha is called Vividisha sannyasa. In Vividisha sannyasa, there is no permission to do karma. Now, in Grihastha one can do both Vaidika karma and Laukika karma. The advantage of doing Vaidika karma and Laukika karma is that it engages the mind in a fruitful activity. The problem is, as we know, the idle mind is the devil's workshop. So, if we do not have sufficient control over the mind and the sense organs, and one has taken up sannyasa ashrama, the Vividisha sannyasa, wherein one has to focus on jnana sadhana to the exclusion of everything else. The problem becomes is that one is not qualified for such a sannyasa ashrama without the mind control and the sense control, and there is nothing else to divert the mind. There is no karma to occupy the mind, there is no karma to occupy the body, and therefore there is a risk that in sannyasa ashrama, an unqualified person who takes a sannyasa ashrama, there is a risk that they enter into and do wrong things and they suffer from problems as a result of that. That is why Acharya is saying here, it is only a Jitendriya, the one who has control over their mind and senses, is the one who is qualified for the sannyasa ashrama, which is what is being referred to by the word Uparama. The third of the Shamadhi Shatkam is Uparama or Uparati, which essentially means sannyasa ashrama, the ashrama of renunciation, so that the Vivekayuta, Vairagyayuta, Shamadhamadi Sadhana Sampannayuta Adhikari is able to exclusively focus on Jnana Sadhana to the exclusion of all karma, whether it is Laukika karma or Vaidika karma. Continuing, Tasyeva Shitoshnadi Dvandva Sahishnutta Rupa Titiksha. And it is only a sannyasi who has renounced the Grihastha who is endowed with Viveka, Vairagya, Shama, Dama. It's only such a person who has the Titiksha. So Titiksha essentially means the ability to withstand the dual forces. So there are so many conflicts in life. So for example, it's both physical and mental conflicts that one has to constantly face. So here Acharya is talking about Shitoshnadi Dvandva Sahishnutta Rupa. So essentially it means things like being able to withstand a great cold, heat, happiness, sadness, pleasures, pains. You have to have the ability to withstand those things to a certain extent. And that is called titiksha. So he's saying a person who is endowed with shama, dama, and uparati, only that person will have titiksha also, the ability to withstand the various challenges that life throws at you in the form of conflicts. So the forbearance or the ability to withstand conflict is what is being talked here. And continuing, तस्यैव बाह्यविक्षेपाभावात् ब्रह्मण्येदं पर्येणावस्थानलक्षणं समाधानम्. Tasyaiva, only for such a person, Bahya Vikshepa Bhavat, because there are no external disturbances like heat and cold that divert the mind away, Brahmani Aidam Paryena Avasthana Lakshanam Samadhanam. Aidam Paryam means the chief aim or objective. So he's saying that because the one who has titiksha, etc., only such a person will be able to consistently focus their mind on Brahman, and that consistent focus, the primary purpose being that mental focus on Brahman, is what Samadhanam refers to. So, Brahmani Aidampargyena Avasthana Lakshanam Samadhanam. So, the nature of Samadhana, which Samadhanam is one of the Shatka Sampatti. So, thus far we have seen Shama, Dama, Uparati, Titiksha, Samadhanam. Now we're talking about Samadhanam. He says the person who has Titiksha will be able to have Samadhanam. The nature of Samadhanam is focusing or abidance of one's mind on Brahman. And the reason one will be able to do that, will be able to focus and abide their mind on Brahman, is because they are not disturbed by external factors like heat and cold, because they have titiksha or forbearance. And then एतादृश गुण विशिष्टस्यैव ब्रह्मैकमस्ति जगन्मिथ्या इति उपदिश्यमान गुरु वेदान्तवाक्य विश्वासरूप श्रद्धा इति. So then he says only those people who have the aforementioned qualities, एतादृश गुण विशिष्टस्यैव ब्रह्म एकमस्ति जगन्मिथ्या, all that exists is Brahman and Brahman alone. The world that appears in front of us, this Jagat, is a mithya. So this is the teaching that the Guru is going to give. So when the Guru is teaching the Vedanta Vakya or the sentences of the Vedanta, the ultimate import of Vedanta, which we are going to discuss in the next verse, is Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Brahman is the only reality. Everything else that we consider to be real, like this world, like this physical body, all of these things are mithya. They do not have the paramartha satyam, the ability to say that this thing exists in all three periods of time. Such a reality the world does not have, therefore it is mithya. That teaching which the Guru is able to give, the student will not have the shraddha or the faith in that teaching. So what is the nature of shraddha? The nature of shraddha is the faith in the Guru's teaching and faith in the teaching of the Shastras. So what is required, and shraddha is the most important quality that is required for any jigyasu. This is not a blind faith that we are asking for. In fact, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, Shraddhavan labate jnanam. It's only an individual who has Shraddha that will get Jnana. Because even if you look at our Laukika Jnana, if we constantly keep questioning the teacher and if we have no faith in the teacher and what is being taught, then we will immediately discount what is being taught. It will not even get inside us, let alone soak in us and convert our worldview. We are so convinced of our own correctness that we do not listen to what is being taught. That is a lack of faith. Now, what we are asking in what is expected in Vedanta is that you have Shraddha in the Guru's teaching, your Shraddha in the Shastra's teaching. Allow it to come in, let it settle in, let it soak in. And then once we do that, once we allow it to seep in our personality for a period of time, then we are convinced, then we get that jnana. So this is, we are not talking about a conviction that is born after the jnana is arising. We are saying in order for the jnana to arise itself, you must have faith in it. It will work only if you believe in it. Now, this may appear as though one is trying to push one towards blind faith. Vedanta is not about blind faith. What it is asking you is to keep aside your prejudices and listen with an open mind. Because if you listen with the open mind, then the reality will dawn to you. And if one approaches Vedanta with a closed mind, then samshayatma vinashyati, as Bhagavan says, then there is no scope for jnana, at least in this life. So therefore, what Acharya is saying is that if one has viveka, vairagya, shama, dama, uparati, titiksha, samadhanam, then one will also have shraddha. And therefore he says, iti shamadhi shatka madhyepi purvapari bhave karanam suvacham. Therefore, it follows that it's not just between in the sadhana chatushtaya sampatti that there is an order where the previous one is the cause for the next one. Within the Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti also there is an order where Shama is the cause for Dama, Dama is the cause for Uparati or Uparama, Uparama is the cause for Titiksha, Titiksha is the cause for Samadhanam, Samadhanam is the cause for Shraddha. Only such an individual who has this Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti in this order will he have the will he qualify for Vedanta Vichara. Continuing, etadrishah kila purusha dhaureyaha mokshad anyana kamayate tatra vilambam cha na sahate iti tīvra mokshavan bhavitumarhati iti abhiprayena ādau nitya iti ādhyah. Etadrishah kila purusha dhaureyaha. Only such a person who is so fit, only such a person moksha anyat na kamayate, only such a person will not desire for anything apart from moksha, will have moksha as the sole aim of his life. Tatra vilambam cha nasahate, and he will not be able to tolerate even the slightest delay in the moksha because samsara is such a problem for him. He is not willing to accept the pleasures of this life. He is not willing to even accept a momentary delay in that samsara, and therefore iti tīvra mokshavan bhavitumarhati. And therefore he is fit to be the one who is possessing a deep burning desire for moksha. Iti abhiprayena ādau nitya iti ādhyah. Therefore it was first said, in the beginning one needs to have nitya vastu viveka. Following nitya vastu viveka, the word ādau there refers to the sequential development of the sadhana chatushtaya sampatti and how the one that is in the first is the cause for the one that follows. Tadanantaram ihamutra phalabhoga viragaha iti cha. And therefore, after viveka, one has ihamutra phalabhoga viragaha, one has vairagya of the nature of dispassion of the results of iha, this world, or amutra, the other world. The phala or the pleasures of this world or the next world, he is totally dispassionate towards, he does not desire them at all. Tena viveka anantaryasya vairagye kathanena tad uditassahi yo yad anantaraha iti jnayena viveka karyatvam vairagye uktaprayam. Therefore, as vairagya is mentioned after viveka, tad uditassahi yo yad anantaraha, that which follows from the one that appears in the front, means that it is the effect of the one in the front. So the cause is the first, the effect is afterwards. Iti jnayena, by that rule, viveka karyatvam vairagye uktapraya. Therefore, it has been said that the effect of viveka is vairagya. Tad anantaram iti uttaratrapi anushajyate vairagyanantaram shamadhi sampattihi tad anantaram mumukshatvam iti. The words tadanantaram or after that, which appears only in the context of vairagyam, must be associated with all the sadhana chatushtaya sampatti until mumukshutvam. So, from Viveka comes Vairagya. From Vairagya comes Samadhi Shatkam. From Samadhi Shatkam comes Mumukshutva. With that, we come to the end of this verse, and we will take up the next verse in the next session. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.